Alright, we're back with number 12 of the series Spar Tech, and today we have Mr. Manveer and Mr. Al. Unfortunately, this is only going to be a Spar Tech based on one round of sparring. Alright, this is going to be really quick and off topic. What we're seeing here is something I mentioned in class about 3 weeks ago when I was attempting to teach and discuss the levels, as in up and down. Here we see Manveer started with a quick jab to the midsection, which caused Al to deflect downwards with his glove, which began the demise, because right after that lower level attack, Manveer went back upstairs with the upper tier attack. Okay, but enough of that. Let's break this thing down and see what really happened with some diagrams and how we can avoid this from occurring. Mr. Al seems to be the slight aggressor. Well, most of the time anybody in there with Manveer will most likely play the role of aggressor, because Manny likes to lay back on the outside and catch you making them errors coming at him. Al starts off with what I like to believe is a very extremely wide stance that causes his body to become lower. Nothing wrong with being low and under the radar, but at the same time, his extremely wide stance, he also has extremely wide guards. Those aren't even guards at this point. The doors are wide open, enabling many options for one paying attention to this activity. But keep in mind, although this is a freeze frame, he stays in this posture and or position for a very short minimal amount of time. Alright, next clip. Here we can see it diagrammed up a little better. And I need to point out one thing real quick. Anyone incorporating the style that Manveer utilizes, staying on the perimeter or the outside, that 1 or 2 step advantage on you, he has the luxury of time to anticipate, to see you as you're approaching him, and make better decisions on how he's going to intercept you. So at this point in time, Mr. Al, with the wide stance and extremely wide guards, challenges Mr. Manveer to basically target the midsection. Although we know this is not the exact location we want to target, but in this situation, targeting the midsection will allow greater access to the head. And there it is, as we can see, X marking the spot on the head. We're going to take the route below first to guarantee and make sure that when we do go up to the head, there's less obstructions and gloves and things blocking the path. With that being said, as you can see, Mr. Manveer takes the first strike at the torso, causing Al to deflect, lowering his power side glove a bit, which, as you will see in the next clip, enables Manveer to take it up to the top and touch the red X. Mission being accomplished, target struck. I'm gonna add a couple other side things to this real quick. I'm a firm believer in keeping both guards up at all times is necessary. I see a lot of lead hands being held at the hip area, midsection area. Nothing wrong with that if you know how to use it, but when we're talking pure, clean defense, it is best to have both gloves, guards, up very close to the face and or head. Most times, by just keeping your guards up, the opponent won't take the shot because he sees obstacles. Secondly, if he does take the shot, you're not trying to scramble and get your gloves and guards up to deflect the incoming shot. As you can see, Mr. Al has that right hand very low, although it's probably rising up now once the brain realizes that Manveer threw that jab to the midsection to distract, and then he brought it up top to complete the process. Moving right along, we go to the next set. Manny seemed to be avoiding a hairy situation with Mr. Big Al by fleeing, or what they call in the uneducated world of boxing, running. Now, in Manny's defense, if he was not punching and being somewhat successful in striking his opponent, I also might call this running. But if you're a boxing Puritan, you should know the difference between running. What he's doing is reclaiming his space. Manny needs space to work. People get close to him, he gets compromised, he gets allergic to it and breaks out in rashes and shit. So he has a real urgency to leave to get his space back. But besides getting his space back, which he needs to counterpunch, he's also laying a trap. As you can see, there's a straight line between Mr. Al and Manveer, although Manveer's retreating. Big Al, you're going to make the mistake of following that line as Manny departs that he's leaving for you to walk upon. And the reasons that's occurring is he wants to lead you into something. So he needs his space for tactical advantage, to set up and plot, and he wants you to follow him to assist him in doing that. And so the saga continues. As you can see, Manny has a bigger gap, and Mr. Big Al is approaching Manny in that straight beeline. Another thing I'm going to point out that I had no intention of discussing, but I did notice, Mr. Big Al, as you're approaching Manveer, you're walking to him. And you got that little front lead foot heel strike, which is causing a greater problem during your pursuit of Mr. Manveer. Remember, do not walk in. You got to have your boxing step as you approach. That way, when you get there, if you need to go evasive or offensive or anything, you can instantly do it without having to adjust your footstep from a walk-in position and or posture. And speaking of the devil, as you can see in this clip, Mr. Al, your front leg, your knees are locked, and the first impact from that walking step will be your heel striking the ground. All right, this is the big bad aspects of walking in. Anyway, getting back on point, that proverbial line between yourself and Manveer is still there. As you can see, I even demonstrate up above. You can tell by the position of Al's headgear where his eyes are focused straight ahead on that line. Okay, but this is the most crucial part, because I believe at this point, if you notice that arrow indicating coming off of Manveer's right foot, he's about to transition and get off that line, because he knows within 1 or 2 steps you, Mr. Al, will be at the perfect location for him to strike. And strike he does, because at that brief moment, as you were walking in, Mr. Al, you put yourself in a very vulnerable position, and you have to keep in mind your opponent was leading you into this situation, unbeknownst to you, quite obviously. So there's a couple lessons to learn here. Number one, do not, when you're apprehending your opponent, walk in the path that he's laying for you. He might be laying more than a path. Alright, we just witnessed that last series, but what did you actually see and or interpret is the question. Once again, man, Spar Tech isn't about the guy landing the cool punches and looking good. As a matter of fact, Spar Tech has nothing to do with positivity when it comes to sparring or boxing. What we're focusing on is the negative, the bad, the things that actually needs to be remedied, fixed, and shored up. If you have a good jab that's doing the job, we don't need to discuss that bullshit. All right? So, Spar Tech is about fixing and shoring up the deficits in your boxing game, especially the defense. So, with that said, I think after the spar, Al and I had agreed. He kind of beat me to the punch when I was about to tell him this, but him being rather stiff in the upper body from the waist up, he needs to have a bit more of a flexibility, a little side to side, just to distract his opponent and to not have himself as a solid target as he's presenting to Manveer in that last sequence. Alright, gotta reference some older Spar Techs. Don't really want to keep going over in graphic detail things that I've laid out in previous videos, but on the line up of opponents, when you have all three locations lined up perfectly, feet, midsection and or waist area, and the head area, at this point when you have these three lines intersecting, what we have here is he who decides to pull the trigger first most likely will be successful. So with that being said, on the other side, if you happen to be the poor bloke that will not be pulling the trigger first, you can't sit on this line, especially when you have all three of the specific locations lined up. You are a human target. And remember, the person that pulls the trigger first in this critical situation is going to have a great amount of success. Okay? So what is necessary when all three aspects of the lines are lined up? Individual A, whoever that's going to be, individual B, whomever that shall be, needs to have constant gyration, maybe slight footwork, getting on and off that line left and right, and the upper body in some type of evasive online, offline motion to circumvent and slightly prevent Manveer or your opponent from striking you cleanly. So Mr. Big Al might have languished on the lines a bit too long. He might have overstayed his welcome, because during that time of languishing and not going maybe full evasive with the online offline activity, being in such close proximity, he allowed Manveer some time to think and calculate. And you got to remember, this stuff is happening in milliseconds. Alright? And what does Manveer, in my opinion, from watching this tape and dissecting it, come up with? He wants to get a straight left right down the pipe. Okay? So he's going to do something with his jab. Can't really call him a jab because I didn't see the intention of jab, but he's going to shove about three, we'll just call it a jab, probing jabs. And at the same time as he's probing with the jab, you'll see in the clip afterwards, he's actually slightly parrying or forcing Mr. Al's gloves to the left, Al's left. By doing this, he creates a clear channel for his straight left to go down the pipe. Alright, pay attention. I got that red X on Mr. Big Al's right glove. Once again, you see the proximity. I mean, that thing is sitting on the hip. totally useless at this point in time. Once again, can't guarantee nothing, but from instinct calculations, it would appear to me if that right glove indicated with the red X was up closer to the head area, maybe Manveer wouldn't even attempted this. Maybe, we never know. But as you can see here, Big Al's only glove at guard is being distracted slightly by that triple fluff jab of Manveer, and not only the distraction, but also the slight parrying it out of the way, because that big left needs a path to slide in upon. And there it is, your path that it slide in upon. Keep in mind, these aren't really hard knockout punches, but they are effective punches that if you're a judge scoring a fight, will see the effect of these punches. I mean, Al is really bigger than Manveer. He's got a lot of body mass, so I'm sure he can absorb a lot more impact. But this isn't about impact and power. It's about placing your intended glove upon the intended target.
We're boxing. But I only went to freshman. Okay. 04. Oh, okay. And I went to Myra Trails. Well, I went to Florence for 3 months. And then I came there when I left. I went to Myra Trails. I played my sophomore year at Myra Trails. So I played Florence Summer League freshman. No, second half freshman, Summer League, Florence, sophomore Myra Trails. And then junior year, and then senior year at freshman. But when I went there, the entire office, a guy named Matt, light skinned dude named Matt. I think it's Matt Brown, Matt Barnes.
I just feel like a picture of him.
Light skinned.
Yeah. Might be my Barnes.
But no, not the one who played.
He
He did play college.
Oh, yeah, I know that light skinned guy.
No, and then also Cervante, he was a point guard. He actually went to Oregon. Terrell.
So you were there a little before my time. I was working with some of the workouts around
John Thomas, light skinned dude. He had a freshman at Victoria. She was 6'7". Vic was 6'8". That was all American.
Okay.
But she was a senior when I was a freshman.
Okay, so she's a little older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My sister went to my girl. She was a stat collector for the basketball team.
Okay.
And I went to a game a couple years ago. They had a license like number 13.
Yeah.
I think he was top. He got a scholarship.
Yeah. It's very fun, like I said, like, I was big into that.
Did you go to school around with John Ryan?
No, he was older than me. He was much older than me. Like Ryan, yeah. So I saw him play with that Cal. High school. Or not high school. Cal. Cal Berkeley. Right?
Yeah.
Right? I saw him, I think I was only in 6th or 7th grade when I saw him play at college, right? So yeah, I was younger.
You probably know Russell Scott. He was older than me, but he's a legend. He went to Shelby. What's his name?
I know a few people that went to Sheldon that like Darius.
That's what I'm about to say.
Darius Graham.
Nelson.
Darius Nelson. Yeah. So he was super talented. Darius Graham was not
You might be talking about Russell.
No, no, I think it was him, bro. He was like 6'7", 6'8", got sergeant by 9, fucked it up, got arrested for breaking the
Oh, you know what? I know what you're talking about. You know what?
He also had a cousin or something that went to Sheldon with him that was 6'8", 6'8".
Yeah.
There you go.
He was on the scene.
Gotta have different styles just in case, Big Al.
Then his brother at the time.
There you go. Manny needs some aggression on him. He got a fight coming up.
Okay, cool.
There you go.
He's like 6'6", 6'7".
There you go, Al. Upper body movement.
I met him when
You're less of a target now, homeboy. Yeah. There you go. And whenever you're done, get some clearance. Reset. Yeah. See? There you go, Al. That upper body movement was the missing link. There you go.
one of my best friends got flipped. My best friend, Portugal. My best friend could have been the league. But he was yeah, he went to prison at 18. And then but anyway, there is a super cocky.
Get back to your little movement, Al. There you go. Just a little bit. Not to drain yourself, but to be elusive.
Like that.
That way you're not a solid target. There you go. You're shifty, Al. Nobody trusts you, man. You're shifty. You're always shifting somewhere. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Thinking man. There you go. I like the creativity.
Yeah, so he turns the ball. He dunks it, bounce ball.
There you go, Al. Give him hell a different. Yep, there it is. See? Can't just walk up to a motherfucking and punch him. You gotta have some game and shit. Remember, head movement with no punches coming at you. There you go. Best way to avoid being hit. I like it. You're thinking. Telegraphed it a mile away.
Smile, capitalize. Trying to throw straight punches out. You don't want to do that. Thanks. Good straight punch, though. Good straight punch. Keep that left hand up. Do it, though, Al. Man, keep doing what you're doing. Frustrated, man. You throw, you're in your range. Move. Be careful of that corner. Fuck around, man.
Better. Big Al,
Yes, sir.
the only downside of all that extra moving, it takes more gas.
It does take more
And this is why even
Because the water keeps moving.
This boy's slick, bro. And the counter's good.
there you go. Good defense too, Idris. Good defense.
You gotta dance.
They look for your defense.
You only have like 10 pounds on me, Al. That ain't shit, bro. You gotta move, bro. You gotta move.
There you go.
Move, Al. Move.
You got good legs, use them.
Yeah. Don't brawl.
You got to be strong enough to do that.
Don't stand in one spot, Al. Move. Throw that.
Pop out move, Idris. Pop out move. You need to move too, big boy. Don't be too stiff, all right? There you go. There you go. Move around, Idris. Move around. There you go.
Back gets you.
Good.
Left and right gets you out.
Think pop. There you go.
Now move. Don't get stuck in that corner. You gotta throw and move.
There you go.
That's good too. Just don't stay there with
Good. A lot of movement, Idris. There you go. A lot of movement. Don't stand still, Idris.
He just doesn't feel pain.
I know.
He's still there, then get out the way. Just keep moving, bro. It's all good.
Yeah. Hey, don't be able to run it now. That's what I did 3 minutes straight. Now move, Al. Move.
Move. As soon as you're done, Al. There you go.
2 points in the lead.
There you go, Al.
Continue smart.
Gone. You're gone. Reset. There you go.
What's what Mel's saying? That's
Yeah.
good too. But just make sure when you break.
You got free hand. We lock. Break! Let's work. What's my jab, Idris? There you go. Double that jab sometimes, homeboy. There you go. There you go. Now you gone, Al. There you go. This is get the money and run business. There you go. A lot of movement. Gone. Take the 1 cent at a time instead of the whole dollar. Where's that jab, Idris? Where's that jab, Idris? There you go. When you ain't got nothing, you got that jab, big boy, all right? There you go. Where's my jab, Idris? Thank you. There you go. When you have nothing, you got a jab. Where's that jab? Where's that jab? Jab in, Idris. There you go. Use that left hand to get in. Yeah. Uh-huh. Felony hit and run, Al. Felony hit and run, Al. Head movement, Idris. Head movement, Idris. Move the head a little bit. Move the head a little bit, big boy. Good work, boy.